We're talking about being in our bodies. And you've recently underwent a journey of coming back into your body through Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
She got the tight little body, and she
You
be
be
doing
doing
that
that
Pilates,
Pilates.
right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, and what has that journey been like for you?
Yeah. So I feel like for so long, I was like kind of like not really living in my body. I was kind of like here in like this physical plane in reality, but I was also like somewhere else, like very numb, very disassociated. And it was hard for me to like really feel that connection inside of my body, because I think I had checked out a really long time ago. So what finally put me back into my body was Pilates. And I remember the exact moment I had just started my teacher training program for Pilates, and one of my teachers said to me, like during a class, just ask your body to work deeper. And something just kind of clicked in my brain, and that was it. I was like, whoa. And I was like literally put back inside my body. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like I had come home after like a really long trip away.
So now that you're in your body, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people may not understand what that means, being out of their body.
Yeah.
Whether that's disassociating with their own physical existence, like kind of daydreaming, and disassociating with exactly like what their reality is,
Yeah.
or whether that be that they don't have a true connection with their physical being. Like this is all you got.
This
right?
guy. Yeah.
This guy. So what is that connection, that synapse that connected in your brain? Like what connected with your body?
Yeah. I think it was like actually feeling like sensation, and like the connection between feeling sensation and like my physical body, and then like sending the signal back up to my brain. Like, we feel this, we're here, we're present. And that's really like what it was, because I'm like working out and like pushing my body to do certain things, especially like in Pilates. It's a very in your body practice, because you're asking your body to do things that don't feel natural. So feeling different sensations and different alignments that my body wasn't used to kind of like brought me back into my mind, which allowed me to like drop into my body, which was epic.
So it was, I mean, the same way you hear bodybuilders and whatnot talk about like mind muscle connection.
Yeah, definitely. And like that had always been something I like knew, everybody knows mind muscle connection. And like, I had thought about that. I lifted weights for a long time, but I was just like never feeling it. And I finally felt it. And it was like really, really magical.
Another interesting point to bring up when you're really diving into these physical practices, which you have, specifically Pilates. I spent years in weightlifting and doing different practices, now jiu-jitsu and qigong and attempting these different things, is that your muscles hold memory. It's not only your brain that holds memory. Your muscles literally hold memory. So when you repeat something over and over and over again, your muscles learn to do it without you. You cut the head off a chicken, chicken's going to keep running because the muscles know how to move.
Yeah.
Exactly. So basically, by us practicing these physical practices, we're coming into our body by teaching our body how to move. It's not only teaching your mind how to move.
Yeah.
Moving with the mind is the first step.
Yeah.
Then the body moving by itself is the next step. And I'm sure you've seen that with Pilates, where you see that somebody that may be super gifted in that movement moving effortlessly.
Yeah, effortlessly. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And then I've also like been noticing, because I'm like teaching now, like you can really see people who are so not in their bodies. And it takes them a while, a lot of classes and privates and stuff to get that connection, because it's one thing to work out and it's one thing to be there when you're working out. So when I open class, I definitely always invite people just to like, just ask yourself if you can be present for the next hour, because it's going to make a huge difference in how you feel things.
So when you are present with your body, how have you noticed that's different than, say, when you just go through those motions?
Yeah, I feel like the bliss at the end of a workout is like so much more plentiful than not being present. I'm like, I really feel it. Like, I feel it in my body. I feel it in my mind. I feel it in my soul. I walk out of there feeling like I was just in my body for the last 55 minutes. And not like in my body, but asking my body to do things that make it uncomfortable. And that has made me feel just like very connected to myself. And then like on an emotional level, it's just because I'm now operating in my body again, I'm able to like drop into my emotions like and like feel them for what they are.
So you're saying that your connection with your body has actually allowed you to not only have this connection with your body, this understanding of your body, but tap deeper into your psyche, your emotions, your other bodies. Because, I mean, if you follow a different spiritual philosophy, you understand that we have multiple bodies, your emotional body being one of them. So by associating more deeply with your physical body, you found yourself more associated with those emotions, that emotional body as well?
Yeah, definitely. And it's been it was almost like overwhelming in the beginning, like when I came back into my body and back into like my emotional body, because I had like suppressed that like for so long and was kind of numb to all the things that my body was trying to make me feel that I was like refusing to feel and just pushing down. Yeah.
Because, I mean, it manifests physically when you hold different emotions within. And that's been a big part of me understanding my own spiritual awakening and like the journey that I was on is there's all these different emotions that I had neglected. I had neglected my own feelings for so long that they had manifested in various different ways physically and addictive tendencies and different habits that have formed in my physical appearance. And going in and understanding where those different emotional traumas may have been. And when we say trauma, it's not trauma as in like somebody beat you with a bat. It's that you were told no and you didn't want to be told no. It's little things where somebody may have made fun of you at school. And
trauma is a spectrum, just like everything else. I mean, you can experience horrific, unimaginable trauma, and like you said, you can also just have been told no on the playground when you wanted the jump rope. That's trauma.
So, and especially when you're younger, those experiences that you feel, the emotions are heightened because you have less emotions to relate it to and less experience to relate that to. So that no that you get for asking for a jump rope seems like the end of the world when you drop your ice cream cone outside of the ice cream parlor and your mom says, well, we're not getting a new one now.
You're screaming.
That's the worst sense of guilt that you've ever experienced in your entire life.
And probably your first introduction to guilt.
Exactly. So that trauma sits with you for a long time, and going back in and sitting with yourself in silence. So if you follow Paul Chek, he has multiple doctors within his philosophy, and the 4 doctors being Dr. Happiness, Dr. Quiet, Dr. Movement, and Dr. Diet. Right? So those are the 4 parts of living that let you be healthy. Healthy, right?
Yeah.
So that's when we get into quiet, you start to understand and contemplate yourself, right? And quiet comes in a lot of different forms for people. Some people, quiet is going to jiu-jitsu. For you, it might be Pilates. For some people, it might be staring at the trees and drinking a cup of coffee. But whatever that quiet is, where you can sit with yourself with no interruptions. We need space to process our past. And when you process our past, it allows you to, like you had this experience of coming back into your body because that trauma keeps you from being the best version of this physical being that you can be.
Yeah, it's like walking around just like carrying a giant weight on your back. You know, you got to shed the weight so you can run, or else you're just kind of taking those like really slow, monotonous steps. And it's tiring. And there's so many ways in the world now to not be in your body. It's so easy to not be in your body. It was so easy for me to scroll on TikTok and not be in my body. And now that I'm in my body, that's like the last thing I want to do. And when I find myself wanting to do it, I'm like, whoa, why? Why do I want to sit down right now, scroll on an app and just check out? What am I feeling? What's the feeling?
Well, you fall back into those unconscious patterns. Mm-hmm. It's a defense mechanism because they made you feel comfortable. Yeah. That's the thing is when we fall back into these feedback loops that this negative behavior was giving us, mm-hmm. we're just falling back into past habits, right? Yeah. So you might be on top of the world one day and then say you're doing business and a deal doesn't go through. The next thing you know, you're smoking cigarettes like you were 3 years ago.
Like today when I wanted to smoke pot because I maybe wasn't having a really good day.
Precisely that.
Yeah.
It's one little thing. It brings up that emotion because we don't remember memories, mm-hmm. right? Our mind is not attached to memories. Our mind is attached to the feeling that is associated with those memories.
Yeah.
So when you got into that
again.
Our mind is not attached to memories. Our mind is attached to the feeling that is associated with those memories. Mm-hmm. So when you're attached to the version of yourself that you were, mm-hmm. you're not attached to that version of yourself. You're attached to how you felt. So when you feel low today and you're on the phone with customer service getting pissed off at Amazon KDP because your book isn't publishing, mm-hmm. you're starting to feel the same way that you felt for years on end. Mm-hmm. The same way that you felt every single day. But since you're living higher, you have to come back down. And then that same desire, that habitual pattern that arose from that low vibrational state you were in,
draws you back in. Yeah. Yeah. There was an exercise I used to do in therapy a lot, and it really helped me understand that concept that your body doesn't remember the memories. Your body remembers the emotion. And my therapist would have me like walk through, specifically like child work, would like walk me through like, okay, you're 6 years old. Okay, let's imagine you when you're 6. Describe yourself when you're 6. She would like walk me through the whole sort of scene. And what she would always boil it down to was, how do you feel? Right? Like once she set the scene, once I was able to drop back into the memory, she always brought it back to the feeling. And that was always, how do we untangle the feeling? And that's exactly what that is. So if you have like something in your life, even now to this day, like stuff will come up, even like from my childhood or like whatever. And I'm like not really entirely sure how I feel about the situation or why it still bothers me. That's what I do. I just take myself back to whatever, being 15 years old. I'm driving in my car. I got this song on. I have a 7-Eleven Slurpee in my cup. I just smoked a cigarette. And how do I feel right now? And then unpack it from there. That's like a really great exercise to find those memories that are more emotion-based.
Well, all memories are emotion-based. And I think what you're doing is alchemy, is mental alchemy. When you go into your past, you take an event. You remember yourself sitting in that car with the Slurpee in the cup holder, just got done smoking a cigarette, and you feel that emotion. And what emotion would you be feeling right there?
Probably guilty and useless.
Guilty and useless, right? But what we can do now that we're conscious, now that we've become aware of the power of our own minds, is we can go in and replace that feeling. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea behind trauma work. It's not going and reliving it over and over and over. No, it's not, because it's not the actual event that leaves trauma in you. It's the feeling that it gave you. So when you feel guilty and useless,
that's exactly where it's coming from.
So you have to replace those feelings of guilt and uselessness with something like gratitude. Yeah. Right? You have to say, thank you. I'm glad that I smoked all those cigarettes and drank all those processed Slurpees from 7-Eleven so that I could learn how to be happy and healthy now. Yeah. Right? And you have to flip it and alchemize the situation so that you can go into life now with a positive approach. I mean, that's a bit of an not abstract example, but
I thought that was like not too woo-woo.
No.
That's like pretty...
pretty simple. Everybody's got trauma that they got to work through. Yeah. And
not getting like frustrated with yourself, right? Like just hold like space for the past version of you, whether it's a version of you last week or a version of you when you were 2. Like, you didn't know any better, that you did the best you could at that time, and love yourself anyway, even if it was something terrible.
So if you had to go back in time, you travel back in time, what would be 3 things that you tell yourself before you got back in your body? When say you just weren't there. What would be, if it's not 3, what's one thing you would tell yourself before you got back in your body?
Stop smoking pot. That would be what I would tell myself.
Can you elaborate and why?
Yeah. I started smoking pot because I was very anxious. And the minute I smoked pot for the first time was the minute that my anxiety shut off. And it lit my brain up. I was like, oh my God, this exists? This shuts my anxiety off. This is amazing. I want to do this every day. And that's exactly what I did. I did it every day. And I beat the dead horse. And somewhere along the way, it no longer helped with my anxiety. It made it a whole lot worse. And then because it made it worse, I would check out and I would disassociate. And it was really easy for me to disassociate when I was stoned. So easy. I mean, if you've ever been stoned, you know how easy it is to just veg out. You don't have to move your body. You don't have to pick up your arms. Your brain is shut off. Everything is shut off. If anything, you're shoving food in your face mindlessly. And that's what I would do. I couldn't wait to shut off. It was my favorite part of the day because that meant I didn't have to be in my body anymore. So if I could say one thing to myself, it would be stop smoking pot because it kept me away from myself. Yeah.
You smoked a lot of pot.
I smoked a lot of pot, yeah. And you were definitely, when we were friends around me, I was always high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I smoked a lot of pot, not as much pot as you did.
Yeah. Yeah, you did as well.
I didn't. I only used it as a true escape for not as long. Mm-hmm. It wasn't.
How long would you say? If you had to timestamp it.
Probably about 3 years.
Okay.
2.5, 3 years, like every single day.
Yeah.
And then it turned into occasional use. Yeah. More intentional use.
Yep. Intentional use.
But also the intentional use. So there's a balance between the intentional use because I would also not use it intentionally, and then I'd find myself pretty fucking quickly getting all anxious when I didn't use it intentionally.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm like, I thought I was cool with this. Like I stopped smoking because I would get anxious.
Yeah.
And like you, I initially started smoking because it didn't make me anxious. Mm-hmm. So I felt.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wonder if there's like studies done on it, honestly, because I do feel like every stoner I've met, like, who has consistently smoked every single day for over a year, has reached a point where it doesn't make them less anxious. It just makes them anxious.
Well, also, I've also met so many people that smoked pot for years and stopped smoking pot because it made them anxious.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Right. So, and we also have to touch on the fact that weed now, if you're smoking weed every day, you are taking psychedelic drugs. You are taking like hardcore drugs every day, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what substance you're using, whether it's weed or alcohol or psilocybin mushrooms, LSD, nicotine, caffeine. If you do something every single day and you can't go one day without it, no matter what, you're reliant. You're reliant, and it's altering your brain chemistry, and especially pot. That's so potent, so powerful. It's used as medicine in other societies. On full moons they smoke pot and they talk to their ancestors, and now we're doing it over fucking Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. That was what it was for me. That was what started to turn around for my pot journey. It was like, this is a ritual. It was equal in weight to me as brushing my teeth. It was the same thing. I brush my teeth every day. I smoke weed every day. And sometimes the weed outweighed the brushing your teeth. Sometimes I was too stoned to get up at night and go brush my teeth. And that was lack of care for myself, because I was getting stoned to oblivion that I couldn't even get up to brush my teeth.
So how did it fall off so easily? Because it is so
hard.
Difficult for people to stop doing these habits. And weed is not addictive, quote unquote, but you can get addicted to weed.
Yeah.
You can absolutely be addicted to weed.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought that, but I mean, I smoked for years. So, it was a process. I would say it took me probably a year and a half, towards the beginning of my senior year of college. I started to just notice my dependency on it and the fact that it would make me really anxious. And maybe even a little bit before that, I had a couple of like steady panic attacks after smoking. And again, because I wasn't really inside of my body, I kind of just rode them off like not related to weed. But then, senior year of college, I started to just take note of it. And then, but I couldn't stop. I felt like I needed it. And it was fun. It was a level of like shedding my identity as well, because I was the girl who smoked a lot of pot, and that was like who I was. So I kind of felt like a hypocrite to stop. And that was definitely a factor in it of itself. But what really did it for me was we went to Costa Rica for a month after college, and we're, me really, I'm like looking up online customs. Is it legal to bring pot over to Costa Rica? Is it illegal to bring a dab pen over to Costa Rica? Like trying to see what I was able to bring. And it was sketchy and I couldn't really get a straight answer. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going through all this trouble. Like, am I really going to smuggle pot over? And like for what? Like, do I really need it? And by that point, I was already playing with the idea of like, I don't want to do this every day. I don't know how to stop, because my dab rig was next to my bed. It was my nightstand. So it was right in front of my face every single day. And I used Costa Rica as the tool because it wouldn't be right in front of my face every single day. So we went to Costa Rica and I cut that shit cold turkey. I smoked once when we were there. We met up with some people. They had some pot. And I was panicking inside. Yeah, I remember I'm like, everybody's playing music, having so much fun. We're in Costa Rica, just graduated college. We're like newly in love. And I hit this joint and I'm in my head and I'm like, you don't know this boy. What if he kills you? I'm like, you don't know these people. And then I'm like, you're halfway around the country. Like, where's your family? Like, and then it would just like grew into this like massive, anxious, spiraling thought. And then I was like, this is exactly why I don't want to smoke anymore. And so I don't really smoke anymore. Smoke every once in a while, maybe once every 2 months, like not even.
It's powerful when you don't smoke a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People forget how powerful
mm-hmm.
weed is when they smoke every day.
Yeah.
And I forgot how powerful weed was when I'm sitting in the basement hitting the bong every day.
Yeah.
And now I smoke. When I smoke, I do it intentionally. And like when we smoke, we usually do it together and do it intentionally.
Yeah.
Where we're outside and we're connecting or we're doing yoga or we're meditating or doing breath work or something. Mm-hmm. And having it be that powerful with an intention behind it, whatever the intention may be, is like, it's next level, because weed is a psychedelic. This stuff is so powerful.
It's so powerful.
And people treat it like haphazardly. They don't respect it. Mm-hmm. They don't respect it. And you see so many people burn out, and it's a shame. Mm-hmm. But there's so many people now that it's legal, people are burning out. Like you see these people in the dispensary spending the last $40 on an eighth. Mm-hmm. It was a fucking $80 eighth at the dispensary, but their last,
it's way more.
Yeah, their last $80 on an eighth.
Yeah,
just to burn out, and it's
a problem.
It's a problem because it makes you feel content with where you are. Mm-hmm. When you're smoking pot every day, you're content, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's no part of you that hits a bong and says, you know what, I should create a business and impact the world.
Yeah, there's no like, it's tough. There's no.
It's not motivational.
It's not motivational. There's no drive.
There's no fucking.
You might, and the thing about pot, it's like you might have like a creative idea, a really amazing idea, right? It does have that ability, but most of the time you're too fucking stoned, you forget it. Or most of the time you're too fucking stoned that you don't do anything about it. You don't write it down. You don't. That's it. It's gone. Poof.
So something that I've done, I have not smoked weed very often at all anymore. Mm-hmm. I couldn't even tell you the last time.
Yeah.
But what I was doing when I was doing it a bit more intentionally, especially by myself, is I would, after I would smoke, I would take those ideas and I would put them to paper. Mm-hmm. Because when you're stoned, you all have all these good ideas. Stoners are creative. I'll give it to stoners. They're creative. They come up with great ideas for skits and sketches and funny jokes. And they've got all these, what if we did this? We could sell a ton of t-shirts like this. It's like, dude, that's a pretty fucking good idea.
They like invent shit.
But but a lot of times nothing happens from it. It's a bunch of ideas, right? And an idea does nothing coming out of your mouth. Mm-hmm. You gotta put the work in.
You gotta grab it.
Yeah. You gotta grab that idea and make it tangible. So I was taking a pen to paper and dumping all these ideas in my journal, right? And weed just heightens that creative flow of ideas, especially if you're connecting with your body, especially if you're meditating, doing yoga, or going to the gym, or however you're using it, going on a walk in nature, whatever it be. Take the pen to the paper when you're done, and I was just writing down everything. Fill up a whole page, right? The ideas start to connect when you see them, and not just when you're smoking pot. Like, it's helpful to just write your ideas down, but especially when you're smoking pot, because it's easy to forget how good your ideas are when that channel is wide open.
Yeah, it's really easy to escape the body with the pot. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel, a little bit off the pot topic?
Yeah, let's diverge.
Because I could kind of talk about that all day.
Yeah. Let us know if you want to hear us talk about pot
all day, because
we can talk about pot. We can talk about drugs.
All right.
You want to talk about drugs? Not next time, another episode.
Okay. How do you feel the most in your body?
How do I feel the most in my body? Mm-hmm. Personally, it's been Qigong for me recently. Mm-hmm. Qigong and Jiu-Jitsu, actually. Both of them have been making me feel very embodied. Mm-hmm. Qigong I've been practicing for about 3 years now. And Qi being energy, Gong being movement, right? So basically what we're doing is we're doing meditative movement to move the energy within our body. And through Qigong, variations of Tai Chi as well, I've gotten into these states where deep meditative states in movement, in flow. Mm-hmm. And that's been super awesome, of like feeling in my body. Yeah. I was not always in my body, especially when I was younger. I would categorize myself as clumsy, a bit heavy footed, super slow. Like I was a bit uncoordinated trying to run. Yeah. I was too lanky to like be doing very much accurately. When I threw a baseball, it would kind of go all over the place. Yeah. So
you feel more.
I've embodied my physical body. I've filled into my physical body, because even after I was 18, 20 years old, I still felt not in my body completely. Yeah. I think it just took me growing into my body a bit more, and I'm starting to just figure out now how to fucking use this thing. Yeah. And Qigong's helped me embody myself like mentally and spiritually in my body. And I think jiu-jitsu has been a great transition from football for me, where I'm able to take that physical force that I was able to learn through football and practice it in a way where I can direct it and actually learn about myself and about the physical body in all these different ways, how to tie people up in all these chokes, and which ways, like different pressure points to when people are leaning on you one way, how to flip their weight onto you and throw them the other way, and all these different submissions and positions that the human body can get in is absolutely intriguing to me.
Yeah. Do you think that if you didn't have like jiu-jitsu to kind of let out that like more aggressive nature, because you played football for pretty much your whole life, like, do you think that that would have an effect on you? Okay.
I don't know what it is.
You can't just fart mid-podcast. I knew you were gonna because you started smiling. You had that fucking smirk on it. We're cutting that.
There's no way.
Cut the fart out of the last one.
I didn't get edited yet.
Okay, I need to speak.
We're not. No. I'm the editor here. The farts stay in the podcast.
No, it's not. Cut it out.
If I didn't have jiu-jitsu to do the aggressive, to like get my aggression out,
yeah, to get your aggression out, like, how do you feel like that would affect you? I'm literally tearing up from that part. Go ahead.
I'll probably play a lot more guitar real loud on the electric amp.
Yeah.
Really
get it out.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how I would translate it, but I was feeling very constricted. So my whole entire life, I played football, I surfed, I skied. I had all these different physical things that I did. Football being the most physical, like aggressive. And when football ended, I didn't have something to channel any of my aggression, my frustration, any of that into. So it went into the gym. It went into weightlifting and calisthenics often.
Yeah.
It goes into surfing sometimes where you're really surfing hard.
Right.
But that's more flow, right? Skiing and surfing, it's very flow and go up and take a nice turn, right? It's not fucking
choke someone out.
No.
Do you think that's something that's just inherently like a part of men?
Men specifically?
Yeah.
Masculine? Yeah.
Like football and hockey and jiu-jitsu and like
it's
something
the fact
about like
the physical is very masculine.
Yeah.
Understanding the physical world is very masculine. So guys take to these sports, I think, much more deeply than women do because they're very into this physical world. How can they dominate this physical world?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what a lot of these games are, right? You see how many grown men are just absolutely hypnotized by football games on the television.
Yeah.
And sure, it's interesting. I played college football. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it's very physical.
Right.
And by physical, I don't mean aggressive and physical people to people. It's a very material thing. It's a very material thing. The feelings are... The highs are high, the lows are low, but it's all based on this. It's not really a tangible thing that you can take home, right? You see all these football players, they end their journey playing football, and they have this deep depression and anxiety. They don't have a purpose anymore in life. Right. Their whole entire purpose was football, and football's gone. Because football doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
And thankfully myself, I was never...
You were relieved.
I was relieved. I was thankful to be done with football.
Yeah. I watched you just like be blissed out after football ended.
Yeah, I got hippy dippy. I lost like 40 pounds.
Yeah. I think we went to Christmas break. You ended football. We went to Christmas break. You came back, you were like 40 pounds later. I was like, what the fuck? And you're like, yeah, I lost some weight. I'm like, you look like a different person.
Yeah, I lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I felt like unhealthy, but especially being a man, having something that you can direct your energy, your frustration, your anger, your aggression into is something that you need, right? Because if you're doing all these things that just flow all the time, or you're not even doing anything that you love to do, your frustration is sitting inside of you. And the same way we're talking about processing your trauma before, processing your trauma can come in all these different physical activities as well, right? Definitely. I'm processing trauma as I'm on my back fending off a grown man from choking me out because I'm moving my body in ways. Trauma is stored in the body. So when you move your body, you're sorting out this emotional baggage that you have in all these different ways.
That's why movement's so healing.
Yeah, it's so healing. And something that makes me upset, and kind of getting off from the aggression subject, but more body subject, is seeing how people get old and they don't move their body creatively anymore. That's one big thing that I stand by, is creative movement of your body. Go stack rocks, go dance outside, go dance with your loved ones, go do qigong and shake your body out, and yoga and twist every single which way.
Go line dancing.
Exactly, because you see our society now, you see these people walking in walkers, right? And all they do is they move vertically on this plane of motion. They stand up, they sit, and they walk forward and backwards. There's no movement. There's no horizontal movement. There's no transverse plane movement.
There's no extension.
There's none of that. So it's like, get up and move in weird ways if you want to be moving when you're older. Because if you don't move in weird ways now, you're going to be stiff and old and decrepit and fucking hate your life when you're 80 years old.
That's motherfucking right.
Clip that, bitch.
That was fucking, drop the mic.
Yeah. I don't want to be stiff and old when I'm 80.
I don't either. And that has been an agreement I've made with myself, especially through Pilates. I've seen these like incredible old women, just like strong and capable in their bodies. And it's inspiring. And I want to be strong and capable in my body when I'm 70 and 80 and 90. That's kind of going to be my whole reason for moving. I enjoy feeling healthy. I enjoy feeling strong. And there will be aches and pains with age. I'm okay with that. But I don't need it to be...
Yeah, like seeing old people that get up and move is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
When we were in the park the one day eating those peaches, and we saw that 80-year-old man get up, was sitting on his walker, got up, and then started dancing around the pole as the guys were playing the bagpipes. Right?
Yeah.
And actually, they weren't playing the bagpipes. The band was playing.
Yeah, the band
was playing. But this guy's dancing around the pole. Old man. That's got to feel good. That's got to feel the same way as a baby taking his first steps almost.
Yeah.
Except it's more of a remembering, like, wow, I used to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, looking back on that's probably interesting. Yeah. I want to be old and dancing. I want to be old and strong.
That's why we're doing this stuff now. That's why I'm doing this stuff now. I'm sure that's why a big reason why you're doing the Pilates right now.
Yeah.
I want to be 80 years old. I want to be surfing. I want to be 80 years old and doing yoga and qigong every day and lifting my grandkids up in the air above my head and conquering life and not being in pain.
Yeah.
Because that's the saddest thing, seeing all these old people in pain every day, existence being suffering. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like being full of life, right? Because when you're in chronic pain, it's hard to be full of life.
It would be nice to be full of life and old.
Yeah.
Something I've thought about is, how can I live a way where I can be sitting on a park bench when I'm 85 years old, looking at the birds, no words need to be said, just be cool. Life was great. You know, I'm still alive, but I have no problem with going.
Yeah.
Being content with like what you created here.
Yeah.
That would be... That's why you live now. That's why I'm living right now. Why I'm doing all the things I'm doing, so that I can sit on that park bench and look back at life and not say, I wish I could have done that.
Right.
Because you're going to wish you could have fucking done it when you're 80 years old. If you're 20 years old and you're looking for a pension, you're waiting to do those things when you retire, to move your body, to take those trips.
Do it now.
Do it now. Because you have your whole entire life, right? And you do it now and you become the best version of yourself doing it.
That's it. That's the money.
That's the money.
And I'm so fucking thankful that I'm back in this meat suit because, wow, would I not be able to do it if I wasn't?
Yeah, be thankful for this body. I'm thankful for that body.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm blushing.
She's blushing.
Swinging my feet.
She's playing with her hair, putting it behind her ear.
You know, just a little flirty flirt. Why do we always finish with us flirting?
We always finish with us flirting. We're a bit too far away now to make out at the end of the podcast. You go watch all the other podcasts all the way through. You'll see we make out at the end of every single one of them. But,
yeah. So come back home.
To your body.
To your body.
Yeah.
It's totally worth it.
That's the theme today. So thank you. Give us a follow on socials. I'm Cory Engelhart on all socials.
I am D_Parisi_ and Deanna Parisi on TikTok.
This is Deanna. She's embodying Deanna.
That was a whole separate thing. Yeah.
That's that's a whole other one. It's a whole other podcast episode.
Mm-hmm. D versus Deanna.
D versus Deanna.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Maybe we'll drop that one in a couple months. We fucking love you. I'm gonna sign it off. Thank you for listening.
Bye, guys. Thanks.